the notion of paradise, or the idea of paradise for the show, came about with conversations with a series of design product students, a number of design product students, and we were discussing the kind of notion or the idea of what is a paradise. And the students felt like they were living in inherited paradise, one that was provided to them, so a social, cultural, political and economic paradise that they were existing in now, that was an idea of somebody else, or a group of movements or individuals. And so that was the kind of starting point for the exhibition. And from there they started to think about, okay, well, what would their kind of idea of paradise be, or what could be their kind of points of reference in a future paradise. And so from that point on, what we did was we wrote a brief, because it was the first time in the history of the Royal College of Art showing in Milan that it was not just going to be the design products program exhibiting, but we were going to open it up to the rest of the school. So we wrote a brief and made a call for proposals, and eventually we received 200 proposals from students from 14 different departments and programs within the Royal College of Art. When we originally wrote the brief, we had 3 subsections. One was based on agents of reverie, which was looking at projects which are more based on dreams of individuals. So there could be production dreams or material dreams. The second was the idea of the malcontents, which was looking at more of kind of society dreams on a larger scale. And then the third one was the idea of unit of reflection, which was looking at kind of social, cultural, ethical, environmental, or technological interpretations of kind of ideas in relationship to paradise. So after we received 200 proposals, both myself and Tord Bunchty, who's the professor of the design products department, decided that we would go through the proposals and, in relationship to the themes, edit what we felt was relevant to the show. And that was purely a process of discussion that we had. So we edited from 200 to 80 pieces, and so it's a mixed media show. So we have, as I mentioned, 14 different departments, from fine art to sculpture, to painting itself, to obviously design products, design interactions program, and communication. So there's a huge variety of works, and in different medias as well. I think in the context of Milan, I think it's a very relevant thing to do at this point of time. And so for us, it was a really interesting way, one, to kind of start to create a dialogue with other departments within the Royal College of Art, but to see how maybe Milan in itself, which can be seen as a very traditional kind of mindset in relationship to design, would relate to this type of show, and maybe the possibility of what types of discussions or debates that it might create. I think the one thing that the show is not professing to do is that they're not kind of creating making sweeping statements about the future. So the works in the show are either kind of reactions to the theme, they're provocations, they're in some cases short stories, based around this kind of idea of paradise. So, and they're not literal interpretations either. They don't exist on a singular timeline. They kind of jump different timelines and different spaces. They're more kind of a series of constellations of ideas that kind of relate to the theme in different different transparencies and different resolutions to some degree. Well, my idea of paradise in this context is a way to work with students and to see as what it means for the students to kind of engage with this type of theme. So the exhibition this year, what we've tried to do is not just to show the products, but to show some of the thinking behind it. So for example, we're in the library of the exhibition space, and it has key publications that were used as reference points in relationship to the theme of paradise and utopias.